In the wake of the Great War, the remaining nations of Europa are faced with the task to remain productive, popular, and profitable. As land and resources are scarce, conflict becomes harder and harder to avoid. Scythe is a game about money and power for 1 to 7 players at 30 to 50 minutes per player. Each player takes control of a different empire. In the end, the total value of an empire's money, land, achievements, and resources will determine the new leader of Europa. By conquering land and playing to their faction's strengths, players must build a fast and efficient economy and military. When a faction meets 6 of the 10 possible major achievements or triumphs, the game ends, and the faction with the highest combined value of assets and achievements wins. 4 resources drive and determine the world of Scythe. In order to produce a resource, a player must control a certain type of land. Mountains yield metal. Metal can be used to build strong military and exploration vehicles called Mechs. Farms yield food. Food is necessary to recruit officers, which grant passive bonuses in their specialty fields. Tundra yields oil. Oil is needed to upgrade the industry on the player board, which makes actions cheaper, faster, and more efficient. Forests yield wood. Wood can be used to construct buildings, which unlock powerful abilities on the map. Resources never leave the map. A resource once on the map can be spent, transported, left behind, or taken by another faction. In addition to these resource spaces, the land has a few additional features. Towns let players move new workers onto the map. Rivers and lakes cannot be crossed unless a special ability allows a player to do so. All spaces with a tunnel symbol are considered adjacent. The factory is a single space in the middle of the board that, when conquered, adds a powerful 5th ability section to the player board. The factory is also worth 3 regular spaces for endgame scoring. Every faction has a leader or character. Leaders, when moved to an enemy space, can participate in combat. With leaders, players can also trigger encounter tokens on the map. Here the player is presented with a choice on how to deal with the local population in order to gain resources, money, or popularity. Every faction has access to 4 mechs. They can be built using metal. Every mech unlocks a special ability, such as the ability to cross rivers. Mechs can also trigger and participate in combat. Every faction comes with 8 workers, 2 of which start on the map, and 6 of which start on the player board. Workers must be sent across the map to produce resources. Achievements or triumphs are tracked on the triumph track. It has 10 triumphs, of which each faction can achieve up to 6. They are: purchase all 6 available upgrades on your player board using oil. Build all 4 available mechs using metal. Build all 4 available buildings using wood. Recruit all 4 available officers using food. Place all 8 available workers on the land. Fulfill one of the 2 secret objective cards that each player receives in the beginning of the game. Win a combat encounter. This triumph can be achieved twice. Reach the maximum of 18 popularity. Reach the maximum of 16 combat power. Several actions will affect an empire's popularity with the people of the land. The popularity track is divided into 3 sections, and reaching a new section increases the value of everything a player owns and achieves. The current combat power or military strength of each faction is public information. This track, combined with secret combat power cards held by the players and the presence of their military units, determines the outcome of military conflicts. Player boards are divided into 4 sections with a top and a bottom action each. On their turn, a player must choose one section, and can then perform only the top and the bottom action of that section from top to bottom. Uncovered or visible red spaces are costs. Uncovered or visible green spaces are gains. A player cannot pick the same section of the board twice in a row, meaning they must change sections every turn. Arrangement and costs of actions can differ between player boards. but the top actions are generally the same. Trade. Spend money to gain a few resources or popularity. The armory building will add combat power to the gain. Produce. Produce resources on all land you have workers on. The more workers you have, the more expensive it is to produce. The mill building will add another land to the gain. Bolster. Spend money to increase combat power or take combat cards. The monument building will add popularity to the gain. Move. Move the leader, mechs, or workers. The mine building will add an additional tunnel to the land where only the owner can move through. Bottom actions can only be taken if the player can pay for them. Maximizing the amount of bottom actions taken per game is the key to winning Scythe. Bottom actions also usually generate money. Upgrade. Pay oil to upgrade the player board. This means taking any of the upgrade cubes from a gain space, increasing gain, and placing it on a cost space, decreasing costs. Deploy. Pay metal to unlock a new mech and that mech's ability. Build. Pay wood to build one of the 4 special buildings and that building's ability. Recruit. Pay food to recruit one of the 4 officers. Officers give you a one-time bonus of your choice, increase the gain of bottom row actions, and grant passive bonuses depending on the actions of your neighbors. In turns, players use top and bottom row actions to move their tokens around the land, conquering resource spaces, having encounters, building special buildings, taking over the factory, or engaging in combat with other players. Using the right combinations of land, resource production, upgrades and unlocked powers, building an efficient engine between their player boards and land presence, they compete for the 10 major triumphs, gaining money and managing their popularity every step of the way. There are different possible styles of play. Some players might build an engine that produces money fast. Some players might try to outrace the others on the triumph track. Some players might build a strong offense and a military empire. Combat in Scythe can be rare, expensive, and unexpected. The threat of war can be just as important as actual warfare. Whenever 2 factions' leaders or mechs end up on the same space, combat occurs. In secret, both players select how much combat power to spend and if they want to use additional power in the form of combat cards. Both values are revealed at the same time, ties going to the attacker. The loser must retrieve all units back to the home base, leaving all resources behind, and the winner gains that land as well as a star on the triumph track. Scythe is an asymmetric game. Each faction in Scythe breaks the overall rules in a specific and unique way. The Nordic faction's workers can cross rivers. The Saxony faction can win an unlimited number of triumphs in combat and can fulfill 2 secret objectives instead of 1. The Polania faction can pick 2 results for every encounter card instead of 1 for double bonuses. The Crimea faction can use combat cards as wild resources. The Rusviet faction can take the same action space multiple times in a row and is not forced to change actions every turn. When a faction places their 6th star on the triumph track, the game immediately ends. The current round is not played to completion. All players count their money on hand, the number of land spaces they control, the amount of resources they have, and the amount of triumphs they have achieved. Each asset is worth an amount of money, as determined by the faction's popularity. In the end, the empire with the highest value of assets is the most powerful one and the winner of the game.